What kind of field sobriety tests are there? Like, what ones are admissible?
Yeah. That's a great question. So there used to be more officers who did like the ABC test. We don't see that very often. There's a test called the Romberg test where you close your eyes, and I might even have this wrong because you see it so infrequently, but touch your nose test, lean back and estimate time to 30 test. There's these other tests that were used in the past. 9 out of 10 times they are not being used anymore.
If my eyes were closed and I was sober, I would probably, and I am sober, I'd probably fall over,
Yeah, and those are not the standard field sobriety tests. So we refer to them as field sobriety tests, but they're actually standard field sobriety tests. And basically where that comes from is in New York, the police go to academy. When they're going to be a new officer, they go to an academy, and they're going to be trained on all the things about being an officer. And it's a couple weeks, maybe longer, but part of their training is going to be specifically in DWI. As part of that training, they're going to learn about standard field sobriety tests. And the big three that they're going to focus on are horizontal gaze nystagmus, which I usually will pick up my pen and say an officer is either going to use his finger or his pen. He's going to put they refer to it as a stimulus, in front of somebody's face, a little higher than eye level, and they're going to do a number of tests moving that stimulus and asking you to track it with your eyes. Basically, to simplify it, what they're looking for is called nystagmus. They're looking for an involuntary jerking of the eyes. During their training, they're going to be told to think of it as windshield wipers on a dry windshield, like a skipping. And a lot of times at trial, a DA will have them explain that to a jury that way. They're going to move their stimulus to somebody's maximum peripheral vision. They'll refer to this as maximum deviation, but what they're looking for is that when your eye is all the way out to the side where you can barely see the stimulus, they're looking for the eye to skip or kind of jiggle. And then they're going to do it on the other side, and then they're going to get it to 45 degrees, and they're going to look for the nystagmus on both sides at 45 degrees and mark down what they see. They will say that the science is that somebody who's impaired or intoxicated by alcohol will have this nystagmus. We can fairly on cross-examination say, isn't there other causes for nystagmus? Yeah. Isn't it true some people naturally have this? Can't drugs do this? Can't prescriptions do this? Couldn't someone have had a head injury?
Can't you be stressed out?
Yeah, and usually the officer's like, yes, there could be other causes. Yes, that's true. So that's why they do more than one test.
Okay.
The next test, and I usually when I talk about it, stand up and do it, but I won't right now, is the walk and turn test. I talk about this test a lot, and to me it seems like the most unfair test that's given. And the reason I say that is, and I did the math one time, but let's just say for discussion, there's 30 plus ways you can screw up.
Yeah.
The reason being it, and I'll explain it in a minute here, they're going to ask you to do 9 steps down, 9 steps back. They're going to see if you can touch your heel to your toe. They're going to see if you step on line, but that's each step. So there's, I'd say like 50 chances to make a mistake.
And like you're scared, you're pulled over, depending on the weather, it could be cold. Yeah. Like you don't want to necessarily like mess up. You also want to understand what the cop is telling you. There's a lot of factors that even if you're stone cold sober, like you can mess up or not understand.
It is difficult.
So I feel like maybe like the problem is the tests they're giving aren't that great.
And the information when they give their instructions, and by the way, the biggest piece of evidence in these cases is the body camera. So we want to get a copy of the body camera and watch it so we can see how the officers are giving their instructions. Are they doing it by the book, the way that they were taught? And they do a demonstration. How is their demonstration?
Right.
Like basically, would somebody understand this or not? And then also just to see watch the performance ourselves. And we're watching the performance to see what we as lawyer think about it. If there's opportunities that we see for us, we're looking at it through a lens of what's the police or DA based on their training and what are they going to say or what are they going to have picked up on. And then I also try to just think of it as if I was a juror, what would I think when I watched this video?
Right.
So take myself a little bit out of the lawyer's shoes and say, what would a juror think? Are they going to watch this video and say, she's hammered? Or are they going to look at this video and say, not too bad, pretty good. That looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but pretty good.
It's both. It could be for you. It could be against you. There's been, many times that you watch a video and you're like, they don't seem impaired at all. And then there's other times where you might have someone that says, I was barely, I barely drank or whatever. And then you watch the video and they're like stumbling, and it's like we're seeing it, and you can judge like your approach on how to handle the case.
Just to quickly go over like what the things that they'd be looking for is they usually say, we're asking you to stand with your right foot in front of your left foot and hold that position until we tell you to begin. If during that time someone moves their front foot like to the side to just lose concentration, or they lost their balance, they will write down cannot keep balance. If after the instructions are over, because they said don't start until I tell you, if someone hears the instructions and goes, they say didn't wait for me to tell them to go. Then they are looking on each step to see that the heel physically touches the toe. If there's even a gap, a small gap, they will write misses heel to toe. If someone is walking and they step just a little bit offline, they will write steps offline. If someone does 10 steps or 8 steps and not the asked for 9, they'll say wrong number of steps. They give a demonstration, and in the demonstration, they don't do 9 steps, they do 3 or 4 steps. But the big piece that is commonly missed is they say, and on your 9th step, you're going to leave your lead foot planted, and you're going to do a series of small steps and pivot around, and then do 9 heel to toe back. A common mistake that people make is they do the turn wrong. They do 9 steps down, just turn around and do 9 back. So they will say incorrect turn and mark all these things down. So they are looking for 3 mistakes out of all these opportunities to make a mistake, and that's why I think it doesn't necessarily tell the story. Someone could do start too soon, do the turn wrong, and miss 1 heel toe, and they're going to say it's a fail. And we're saying 9 perfect steps down, 8 perfect steps back. Come on, like, what are you talking about? That's why cases are litigated. The last test is the 1-leg stand. They're going to basically say, pick either foot of your choosing. You're going to raise it 6 inches off the ground. Look at your foot. Keep your arms at your side. You're going to count 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000 till we tell you to stop. Do you understand the instructions? So someone will say yes, and they'll say you may begin. If someone puts their foot down, they'll mark it. If someone uses their arms for balance, they'll mark it. If someone hops, they'll mark it. If someone doesn't count out loud, they'll mark it. If somebody stops and says, is that enough? They'll mark it and say, did not go until we told them to stop. So they get very particular. Kind of the reason, or what I think one of the reasons they'll at least say is the reason that following the instructions is so important is, let's go back to driving while intoxicated. There's them trying to prove that you're above 0.08. They have to prove that you were driving and that you were 0.08 or higher. That's one type of DWI. The other type is overall circumstances. So when a judge reads that instruction to a jury, it says, basically, did this person have the physical and mental ability to drive as a reasonable and prudent driver? So they try to say that the walk and turn test and the 1-leg stand is a divided attention test, that you have to basically physically and mentally be able to do it. And they're told about this back at police academy, that driving is divided attention. So you have to be driving the steering wheel, hitting the brake, hitting the gas, turn signal, lights, wipers, looking left, looking right, checking mirrors, cars are coming, deer, all these things. So they try to say you have to be able to physically and mentally do it, just like this test. I don't know that it lines up as well as they think it does, but they'll try to say, can you physically walk the line, and can you mentally remember how many steps, doing the turn, counting out loud? And that's, I guess, how they've decided to test it. I don't know if it's right or wrong. I think that they're a little too technical on the 3 mistakes, but
yeah.